Strength Warehouse presents Go Heavy or Go Home podcast. I am your host, Nate Boley. In this podcast, we talk about strength, fitness, nutrition, and all things Strength Warehouse related. Hello, and welcome back to the Go Heavy or Go Home podcast. Today's episode 4. We have a guest here. It's Coach Mike. So I'm just going to let him introduce himself real quick, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I'm Coach Mike. Hello, everyone out there in Radio Land. I'm a coach here at Strength Warehouse. Started here about midsummer. Been going 5 days a week strong ever since, and enjoying where I'm at.
What is your role here at the gym?
So I'm a personal trainer, fitness coach, I guess you could call it, strength coach. Work some group classes, do 6 a.m. classes Monday through Friday. Then just personal training from there on out throughout the rest of the days. Do some nutrition coaching here as well.
Yeah. What's your favorite out of all of those?
I like the PT.
Yeah, the PT.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the group classes. It's a good mix because it's just, it's fun to interact with different people and see different strengths and weaknesses. Kind of, helps me become a better coach. Seeing all those different odds and ends that people need to work on and figuring out ways to help them.
For sure. Actually, it's funny. I think my favorite one is group classes because I have multiple people I can talk with and multiple different conversations. So I think that's probably mine. Cool, man. So just quickly, just give me a rundown on what your fitness history is like.
Yeah, so I originally got into the fitness side of things. I think in high school I had a little bench and a barbell got bought for me for my birthday or for Christmas. My parents got it for me, and I dabbled with it briefly and never really caught on. I think it was to help me improve my strength for hockey or something, and didn't really touch a barbell again until Iraq. I was in the Marine Corps and deployed to Iraq in 2006. And that was really my first real exposure to a gym, or somewhat of a gym. It was more of a Fred Flintstone gym out there.
Right.
Lots of cement weights.
In the sand.
Sandbags. And, oh, yeah. And, so I started getting into it a little bit then using Arnold Schwarzenegger Encyclopedia Bodybuilding.
Awesome.
It was the old 80s version, too, like the original print style. And
it's all black and white.
It was great. It was like a weird, gross yellow-colored cover. It was ugly. But worked great. Till I got injured. Then I got injured in an accident in Iraq, and from there I ended up going through the rehab process, and that really got me more in tune with the fitness side of things, trying to prevent any future injuries, and it was history from there. Just loved it.
That's another thing you didn't mention. Something you do is mobility sessions.
That's right. Yeah. Totally passed over that. I do work on mobility and movement with some individuals that request it. Mostly looking just to improve their range of motion and improve the function of their movement. Getting things put back in the right place and getting them moving properly.
Yeah. So, a lot of it comes about with pain. Right? Yeah. They start out, I'm in pain, and then they come to see you, and then they realize that their mobility is terrible, and sometimes that's why they're in pain. Sometimes have an actual injury, and we can just sometimes alleviate the pain, right?
Yeah. You see a lot of lack of strength in certain areas, and so they're unable to get in good positions, and when we can get them in those good positions, add a little strength to it, that pain slowly seems to dissipate.
Yeah. It also helps a lot with their lifting. If they're cannot get into a specific position, say for sumo squats or sumo deadlifts, if you can't get into that position, it's just going to make your lift garbage. You're not going to have the right leverages, right?
Yeah, you're going to have to compensate, and with that compensation, your mechanics are now off, and so now you're lifting with poor technique and still trying to accomplish the same thing at the same weight you could do with good technique, and then they just, it's like
instead of using your hips, they're using their back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Let's see. What's the future sights of your fitness? What are you looking to do?
Right now, jiu-jitsu is my biggest focus. I have a competition coming up, as a matter of fact, in April. Looking very much forward to that, but just trying to improve strength for the mats. Keep myself mobile, injury-free. Not doing nearly as much volume as I used to do in my CrossFit days. I was very heavily into the CrossFit thing for a little while, which got me into Olympic weightlifting as well. That became a big focus for a while. But now that I have a sport that I'm actually competing in, I never really competed in CrossFit or in Olympic weightlifting, so now I have some target, some goal that I can really shoot for and find weaknesses and improve those weaknesses.
Yeah, I think that's huge, especially for staying fit for a long time, right? And keep on doing what you're doing is having goals. And we try to really push that here at the gym. It's just like, if your goal is, I just want to be fit forever, it's like, no, that's such a generic goal that it's so easy for it to get on the back burner. And then after time, you're just like, oh, 5 years went by and I'm not anywhere where I wanted to be, or I have stopped going to the gym or fitness or whatever, because it's way too general. So having a pinpointed, it doesn't really have to be pinpointed, but just like a more narrow focused scope, right? Whether it's competition or, looking good without your shirt on in summertime, or an event or vacation or whatever.
Yeah, I like to have several different kind of going at the same time. I love having that long-term goal of improved fitness and health as I age.
Oh, totally.
But then having that medium range goal of where do I want to be in the next 6 months? Where do I want my lifts or my body composition or just my weight, my movement, any of those different aspects. And then looking at short-term goals, April, like I said, I have a competition coming up. So right now it's just getting my cardio in a better place, just getting my joints moving well and things not being so creaky and painful, and recovery.
That just happens as you get old.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, absolutely, recovery is huge. So you said you did some CrossFit stuff. How long did you do CrossFit for?
Quite some time. I got my level 1 in 2013.
Okay.
I got that when I was out in Hawaii. I kind of dabbled in the level 1, never got to really be involved in working in a CrossFit box ever, but just kind of started to apply it with some of the people in the military that I worked with.
Yeah, I've heard the level 1's pretty good.
It's a lot of fun.
Not quite up to necessarily it's like an intro to coaching kind of thing, yeah.
And they really don't dabble too much even in the coaching side of things on level 1. Level 1 was really about, here's the methodology, here's how we apply it. They even give a brief overview of, here's a general structure of how we try to program it.
Yeah.
And then I got my level 2 in 2018.
Okay.
And that one is solely focused on coaching movements.
Yeah.
That one was fantastic as well.
Have you thought about the level 3?
I have. I don't have enough classes under my belt to be able to even apply for it right now.
Do CrossFit classes in general, or just any
I think it's group fitness classes. They do want it, CrossFit classes when it on the website. I think they specify that. But last time I spoke with them about looking towards that, they were saying there's really just about getting yourself in front of groups and getting the proper movement coaching.
How many do you have to
involved.
have?
It's a pretty high number of
Is
hours.
It really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're getting there. 5 days a week, 5 hours a week. Didn't do any much. Oh, so I was going to say the powerlifting certification that I have, the first one, they only have one level right now, as far as I know. The in-person coaching one was very much so coaching aspect. Like, they took you and there was like, you want to be a coach, find somebody and pick them and start coaching them. I was like, holy crap, like... I'm pretty new to this, and I'm still learning methodology and that type of stuff. But so that was way more into the coaching aspect and way less. There were some body mechanics and methodology and programming and stuff like that, but most of it was just figuring out how to actually get in front of somebody and showing them what you need them or want them to do.
Yeah, the USA weightlifting cert, I went through level 1 of that. And that was it was a lot more about the movements. It wasn't so much on the coaching side, but that was a real eye-opener as how much is involved in that, which makes me then want to do that level 2 and maybe see if there's more of a coaching aspect, because it's a lot of fun learning all that stuff and being able to apply it's great. But getting that practice working with individuals with much better coaches around to really show you what you're messing up or where you can tighten things up is so helpful.
Or stuff that you maybe didn't even see before or even haven't thought about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so how did you get more into the weightlifting aspect of it? I guess that was just with us. Or powerlifting.
Well, with the powerlifting side, that kind of came about a little bit. It seems to be a little bit more popular within Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu communities on the weightlifting side of things.
Sure.
People trying to get strong for Jiu-Jitsu tend to fall into that squat, bench, deadlift. What better way to get really strong than utilize the sport of getting really strong?
Yeah.
So I think that just kind of came together naturally, coming on over here looking to get back into coaching, and it's kind of like, well, I just gonna have to learn it, right? So I wasn't super familiar with it, but I had dabbled a little.
Yeah. And you've come a long way.
slowly but surely, we're getting there.
What do you find? Do you think more like static? So powerlifting is very static strength, and like weightlifting is more explosive strength. Do you think that weightlifting ties more into like a better jiu-jitsu wrestling or versus static strength?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a mix of both.
Okay.
Because you're going to find yourself in both situations. I mean, the explosiveness of Olympic style weightlifting is very much going to be great for takedowns and good for small bursts of energy to help create some movement or space to get yourself in a better position. But then you also have stuff like the bench press is great for helping creating frames and keeping separation between you and your opponent who's trying to smush you like a bug.
Just trying to lay on top of you.
Yeah, I mean, learning how to use your body mechanics and use your structure more so than muscle. And so the muscle does definitely help, and that strength comes into play, but it helps you learn how to be in better positions as well.
Sure. That makes sense. So having utilizing both of them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. So I know we have talked about running Olympic lifting course here at the gym. What does that look like?
Yeah, so in the past I've done it. We've done about a 4 to 5 week course. That'd be a good amount of time to really get some practice in the movements, going about 2 to 3 times a week. Most likely just to get people started into it slow, about 2 times a week would be preferred. It's enough opportunity to get some practice in the snatch and the clean and jerk and the variations within. Lots of drilling. We did actually for the first week of the course I have lined out on paper is just all drills. I don't even think we pick up a barbell.
That's cool.
It's all PVCs or dowels.
And breaking the movement down.
Yeah, breaking it down. Almost, some people like to work from ground up. I like working, from top down sometimes. Just depends on the individual. But
the first time, so I'll just cut you off there for a second. When I was doing the coaching certification for the powerlifting, Lord Elliott, which is the guy who was coaching it, he was like, and I had not even thought about this. He's like, break the squat down from the very top to the bottom. I was like, that makes perfect sense because we don't usually start from the ground in real life, but we do when we're deadlifting, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, keep going.
With the clean and the snatch, obviously, you're starting from the floor. So being able to pick that up properly, in the way you're supposed to makes a huge difference. I
think I was meaning when you're not usually in your body, in life, you're not usually starting from the ground. You kind of pick things up off the ground, you're standing up, right? You pick it off the ground. So they're talking about breaking the movement down, you're going to be standing up, picking it up off the ground instead of starting on the floor. I don't know.
That movement starts from the moment you walk to the bar, not when you bend down to grab it.
Exactly, yeah. That makes sense.
Which is, it's no different once you walk up to that bar in weightlifting. You have to then hinge over and pick that bar up. So it is starting when you're walking right up to that platform.
It actually starts with your mindset.
Yeah, before you're even stepping on the platform.
You can totally kill your lift if you don't have it I'm going to murder that weight right away, right?
Absolutely.
If you have any second guessing on that, it's probably not going to come up.
And you can feel it when you grab the bar. You're like, I don't know about this one.
I've unracked a squat and been like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
Is never a good thing.
No, yeah, are the safeties high enough? Yeah.
We work a lot with the hang positions, teaching that explosive hip extension and the big shrug that you're getting in there to create momentum in the bar. If you don't have that, no amount of lifting from the floor is going to get that bar where it needs to be.
Sure.
Efficiently, at least. So we like to work from that top position first and then slowly break it down to a slightly lower position, like a hang from below the knees or just above the knees. And
sweet.
Then we started from the floor.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it goes 5 weeks long usually?
Usually.
What happens throughout the weeks? So you said the first couple weeks is mostly drills?
Yep, lots of drills, lots of position work, working on just the mechanics of the movements as far as the order of operations. Should your shoulders and hips be rising at the same rate and getting the hip extension, high pulling that bar and pulling yourself under it. Then we start to move into an actual weight. Still just empty bar for a long time. A lot of the focus is just creating efficiency in the movement more so than put weight on the bar. Because if you're inefficient, you're not moving that heavier weight.
Sure.
So
we have a similar idea in our on-ramp, although we do get into weights, but a lot of time it's just, getting people comfortable and knowing what they can do prior to just throwing them into a class.
Sure. I mean, how many times have you worked with somebody who they think they're doing really well at the bench, and you just make a couple tweaks, and all of a sudden their bench goes up 10 pounds.
Or 50.
Exactly. You didn't make them stronger. You made them more efficient.
Yeah. Get the leverages and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Anything else that you want to like yak about? Random questions?
Yeah, I mean, kind of curious as far as you've had this gym, what now, 5 years?
Almost 5 years, yeah. So May we opened in September of 2018 because of city codes and stuff, but we actually started renting the building in May, and had stuff in here and stuff going, and I was still kind of like lifting in here, even though I wasn't supposed to be in here. But yeah. So
did you ever think you'd be running an Olympic weightlifting course or attempting to?
No. I mean, I've always thought Olympic lifting was pretty cool. It's so technical that it's really difficult to teach it, and it's definitely, in my opinion, like very difficult to teach it in like a class type setting. Very and I so. Also don't think it's very. And this is where I think CrossFit gets it wrong, is like adding in the like the cardio aspect and like the running and all that stuff along with these super high complex movements. And I know they don't do it very, very heavy, but they can. I've seen lots of people doing it really heavy. So I don't know. I just kind of I never thought I was going to run or have it in our gym, but I always think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's nice to have good, well-rounded athletes.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I'm not always about like it has to be just squat, bench, deadlift. Obviously, our programming and stuff has changed throughout the history of the gym.
Yeah, and the improvements that happen with mobility from doing all these other different things, can help a lot of people on the squat, bench, deadlift as well. Mobility
and like strength in all positions.
Yeah,
that's something like I find. I was just hanging out with one of my friends, and I was like, I can squat 400 or 500 pounds or whatever to just barely below parallel, but you try to get me off the floor, and it's like I can barely do my own body weight in some positions. I'm like, holy crap, I am really weak in specific positions. So having that wide array of things.
I think that's why the CrossFit side drew me in a lot as well at the time, is because it's such a large base of movements that it puts a lot of improvement on your fitness, which then helps other areas of your fitness when you're going broad to more specific. It just helps a lot of improvements across the board.
Yeah.
But I got really tired of doing long, horrible workouts that I was just hacking up and dying and reaching for breath. So weightlifting sounded way better at the time. It's like 3-minute rest in between, and I only do like one movement.
I do one rep, and then I can go eat some food and sit down.
This is great.
Yeah, that's true. But I guess it really depends on, again, who you have coaching you and what box you're at. Yeah. Because some boxes are like very strength oriented, some boxes are very burpee oriented and cardio. And some boxes have coaches that are way more proficient at coaching, weightlifting versus cardio or whatever. So you really have to kind of like find your own, like which one's going to align with what your goals are.
Yeah, it takes a lot of looking back at previous plans and a lot of assessments just to kind of see, am I well balanced in my programming? Am I being too biased on one thing or the other to where I'm creating imbalances or just uneven fitness?
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of extra time and diligence, and it's easy to screw up. And at the end of the day, one or two workouts, if they're too similar in the stimulus they're trying to create, it's not going to make a huge difference. But you do that for 6 months, and all of a sudden you're going to be lacking in one area of fitness and really good at another. And then are you really that fit altogether? Maybe not.
Definitely not. I find that for sure in powerlifting, especially the guys that I used to train with in the beginning. They're like, I wanted to do like box jumps and not burpees, but like getting some cardio in. And they're like, no, like don't ever do that. It's going to take away from your lifts. And I was like, no, you have to be generally healthy and generally physically prepared to create that foundation, that baseline, and then you can build up on that. And almost every time I've seen somebody have, like even myself, have some type of like platform or plateau, it's because they have some other foundation that they're really bad at, whether it's cardio or whatever.
I mean, for a while, when it was a little bit better weather, even still with some of the crummy weather, you see you walking out with the headphones on going for a walk. And
I did it today.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, it's probably as much as it is mental as it is, helping recovery.
Yeah, I like to do it. So it's like 10-minute walks after I eat. I always get like a little bit lethargic after I eat some food, and so that helps like just bring blood away from the stomach area and helps just bring nutrients and stuff out and keeps you, alive and feeling, like you're awake. Out of the food coma. Yeah. And it was like 18 degrees this morning when I went for a walk. So it was cold, but it was blue sky. So it was like crisp, nice, and I could just listen to a podcast and just get some steps in. And it's crazy because I used to come from being a mechanic where I was running around like all day long to basically sitting down all day long. And so like I have to get out there and do stuff. Otherwise I just get really fat and unhealthy and lose my mind. Everything hurts and I lose my mind. So
not too long back we were talking about you were gonna give a shot to some jiu-jitsu there.
Yeah, I haven't still decided yet. So my plan is to do a competition in June.
Nice.
And so I still want to focus on that. Once I get those records, I think that I might just dabble a little bit in it and see what it's all about, and kind of maybe back off the heavy weights. I mean, I've been pushing heavy weights for years now. Years.
Takes a toll.
It absolutely does. Yeah. When I get up in the morning, it's like click, pop, ouch. Hold on a minute. I got to do this. I got to do that. Roll out a little bit. So that's kind of the goal going forward. I think is still hitting the weights, but just not nearly as heavy. But I've been dying to get these squat and bench record for like a couple years now, and every single time I hurt myself. And so I'm trying to approach it a little bit differently this time, and we'll see what happens in June.
What are the records?
So the squat right now is like 507 is the squat record, and the bench record is 363. And so I've hit all those numbers in the gym. I just can't hit them all together on the platform. And then I own the current state record for the deadlift. At least the last time I checked I did, which was 628.
Nice.
I just hit that on last Friday with like basically an RPE 7. So I'm like, okay, there's probably more there. Conventional. I've hit 661 sumo, but with my knee not feeling the greatest, it doesn't work out with sumo right now. So I've just been backing off. I probably couldn't even pull like 600 sumo right now, I don't think.
Yeah, me neither.
You either. Well, you haven't been practicing as much as I have. Yeah. Do you have a couple of questions? So first one I'm going to go over, I'm going to save some of these for our next podcast, but why does mobility matter? I know we talked about it a little bit, but...
Yeah, I mean, if you can't move and put your body into a position you need to put it in order to accomplish a certain task, the task is not getting finished.
Yeah.
And whether that's pain related, whether that's just simple range of motion or lack thereof, maybe it's from an old injury. Those are the types of things that as we get older, those are only going to get worse. A little bit of pain in the shoulder, not a big deal when you're 21, 25. All of a sudden when you're 45, 55, that pain all of a sudden becomes very difficult to deal with. It makes life very tough.
Probably a lot of scar tissue built up and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. They say movement is medicine, and mobility is a great way to use that medicine. Just getting all the full ranges. And it's not just can you get to that range, but do you have strength at that end range? That's what's going to really save you from injury in a lot of cases.
Sure.
If you got poor wrist mobility, and we live in a very cold place with lots of ice on the ground, if you can't use that hand to stop yourself from falling, you're potentially risking injury if you don't have the mobility to withstand that type of, extension or flexion on your wrist.
Yeah, for sure. Land. Yep. I used to have these guys that I trained with, and they're like, I can't get down to depth for the squat. Like, put more weight on. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my gosh. Force yourself down there. Stretch all those muscles out and stuff. So, definitely working on that mobility is key. And as we strength train, the body starts to just automatically be tight all the time, and so we have to deload it, or not deload it, but I can't even think of the word right now, but debrace.
Yeah.
So bracing, getting nice and tight for the weight, and then unbracing later on, so your body can move freely. Cool.
And part of it too is it's not just can you get into these ranges, but can you control those ranges when you're getting there?
Yeah, 100%.
Can you have a deep breath in, and can you breathe well while you're in some of these end ranges? Because if not, you probably don't own that position. Yeah. Can you even say words?
Yeah.
There's a lot to mobility, more so than just putting yourself in weird positions or getting on a lacrosse ball and moving around. Breath is huge with it. Continuous movement is big with it. It's how you keep moving for the rest of your life. I want to be able to get off a toilet when I'm 90.
I do too. I want to make it to 90.
Yeah, that's step one.
Step 1, make it to 90. Step 2, be able to get out the toilet. End of story.
that's we're good there.
Yeah, we're good. If you can make those two, you're pretty good. So sometimes, a lot of people at 90, they need help going to the bathroom. Like, they can't even do it themselves, so. Or
Yeah, I
help,
don't
like,
wanna be there.
wiping. No.
I don't need that.
Let me go. Let me go at that point. All right. Post-workout nutrition. This one can be, it's just, I guess it just depends on what you're doing.
Yeah.
But for me, I just have like simple protein. I have protein powder with collagen protein, and that's pretty much it for right after workout. Other than like water and stuff, I used to eat a bunch of carbs. I think if you're trying to like gain a bunch of weight, or if you're like a bodybuilder and you're trying to like maximize hypertrophy, carbs makes a lot of sense after workout. But for me, I usually just eat, like I said, just some protein to get the insulin spike, and then obviously the muscles are like, hey, I'm hungry, and then like an hour later I'll usually eat another meal with some carbohydrates in it and stuff. But
yeah, I've never been super good at eating right after a workout. I have trouble stomaching the food, so I used to do the protein shakes, and I'd drink some of it during my workout, some of it after. But what I found was kind of helpful to get the real food in was to kind of mix the two, not my food with protein shake, but I would just blend my food up. Put some spinach and water in that. If it's warm water, it tastes like soup.
That sounds disgusting.
It's not bad. I get that a lot, but it's really not too bad. A nice chicken and potatoes mixed up in a blender with some spinach tastes like soup. So it's a nice post-workout soup.
Yeah. I used to do those little like rice cakes.
Oh yeah.
Break those up, like get cinnamon rice cakes, break them up, put them in the blender with like 2 scoops of protein and a little peanut butter. And that would be my post-workout. And I gained so much weight so fast doing that. Because it was like 400 grams of carbs or something, like 300 grams of carbs or something like that, and like 80 grams of protein right afterwards. And so you'd just be like a balloon. Yeah, it was crazy. I gained a lot of weight quickly doing that.
Yeah, when I was pushing to gain weight, I was doing a gallon of milk a day at one point.
That's a lot.
But my post-workout meal was like a whole bag of Tyson's cut up chicken with some Uncle Ben's rice or whatever, just some pre-cooked stuff, mix it together, and after that it was like Pop-Tarts with Nutella and the rest of my milk for the day. But
like, how old were you when you were doing that?
I was late 20s, early 30s. Yeah.
That's about, I could not even imagine, like, I'm only 37 now, but I can't even imagine eating the amount of food I used to. I just can't do it. Like, I just like eat my meals and I'm just like, I'm full. I'm good.
Once I'm in the zone, I'm like a bottomless pit.
Yeah.
My wife was making fun of the other night because she thinks I need to be in a food, eating contest, hot dog eating contest or something, because I'll just put it down until it's bedtime. And, yeah.
And yet you still don't gain any weight.
No.
Someday it might happen.
It's a problem for sure.
All right, last one. How did you get into jiu-jitsu? I don't know if you've ever told us that.
So I grew up in martial arts. I started doing Taekwondo here in Bend about 3-4 years old. I was the youngest student that West Coast Taekwondo had, which was ran by a guy named Sean Jewell and his wife Tina Jewell. Sean Jewell is actually, I think he has his hands in on joint lock jiu-jitsu out in Redmond.
Oh, cool.
Good guy. He was great. It was once I got back here after getting out of the military, I kind of dabbled in it. UFC gym when I was working there. Got a little injured, so I had to stay away from lifting, jiu-jitsu, anything physical really for almost a year. Got stacked up and had a nice solid pop in my thoracic spine that put me in a rough spot. So once I got back here, I saw his name on the website, and so that was the first place I went. And then found my way over here to Bend and ended up going to a place called Connection Rio, training under Professor Dennis Ash, and he's a Gordo Jiu-Jitsu black belt, 3rd degree, and I've been there ever since. It was originally for self-defense, just I didn't like the feeling that, like, I'm a black belt in Marine Corps martial arts program, which doesn't mean a ton. Mm-hmm. It's like basically I got to get beat up a lot and do some training here and there, but ultimately I couldn't have fought my way out of a wet paper bag.
Yeah.
And that was very unsettling to me. I didn't ever want to be in a position that I needed to protect myself or somebody I love, and I would be unable to do it. So I started doing it just for the self-defense aspect, and then slowly jumped into some competition, and now it's just a huge passion of mine. It's, probably my favorite thing to do in life.
That's awesome. Cool, man. Well, that's great. All right, well, we don't have anything else for you today. Thanks a lot for hanging out with us for episode 4. I'm sure Mike will be back on here in no time at all. Anyway, you guys have a great one, and we'll see you on the other side. Thanks for joining us on this epic journey of strength. If you liked this episode, please leave us a review and share with a friend. To stay connected, hit that subscribe button. All right, until next time, go heavy or go home.